And let's go ahead and get started. So first off, I'd like to thank you. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for attending Gemini's first webinar. This is the first webinar in Gemini history, and it gives me great joy to be the first presenter in a multi-part series based on going digital. Today's topic is going to be based on the digital filing component, which is a very important piece of the puzzle. And once again, I'd like to just thank you all for being here. Thank you for joining us today. And let's get moving on with this show here. We're going to begin with a very brief history. During the webinar, we'll discuss information on both types of digital filing methods, both EForms and JetFiling. Some offices choose one or the other. Some choose both. But by the end of this webinar, you should feel empowered to choose both as well. And let's start with the history. When I say brief, it'll be very brief. Before 2008, all filings of court forms took place at the board or via U.S. mail. This is something that, unfortunately, we all know that came to an abrupt pause in March. For example, you would walk into the board and receive a conformed stamp on your filing with additional copies providing proof of your filing. These were the ones that you would take back to your office and then send out to the members of the case with that conformed copy. And so, however, in today's landscape, we're witnessing the evolution of the filing, the digital filing. So we used to be able to see a physical stamp on paper, and then it is has been transitioning into an EAMS batch, a batch ID for those who have become EForms filers. And then you started to see the addition to it, the transaction ID, which you'll see when you become a JetFiler. In 2008, EForms e-filing became available through the electronic adjudication management system, good old EAMS. And there were key advantages that you could see, that the adopters of EAMS filing started to interact with a completely internet web browser based technology, a database that lived in the cloud. In that system, you were given visibility and confirmation of filings on the case beyond what you see in our EAMS public search case search tool. Have you ever wondered why there are limited filings or limited events that you can see in the public view? Well, when you become if you become an EForms e-filer, you would be able to see all of the case events that have been filed on the case. Here we're providing you visibility on what it would look like with an EForms e-filer account. We draw your attention to some of the two of the most important columns. If you pan from starting in the case events, right below that from the event description, and you can see what the titles of the case events have taken place on this case. If you don't have an EForms e-filing account, this is some visibility that you don't have. This is something that the EAMS public search case tool would not provide in completion. And as you continue to pan to the right, you can see the created by, you can see the event date, the event the filing took place. So what I'd like to do here is imagine one of your internal processes. Your internal process of, let's say, your substitution of attorney process. What does that process look like? After you have taken on your client, said, I'm going to represent you, and you have filed your notice of representation, what does the rest of that review of the case file that is brought to your desk, whether it's a physical paper file or it's an email that has a ton of content in it, what does your review process look like that helps you to know that this is a complete puzzle, that there are no missing pieces? So we provide you this view because it can help you to fill in, to help you to answer that question. It could fill that gap. When you review that case file, maybe there's something missing. You have this feeling, something is missing. You review the file that came from the previous attorney. It looks like something's missing. What tools do you have at your disposal that would help you to fill in that gap? How to put those pieces together? So we offer you this view. If you look at it and imagine this in use today, what kind of questions could you answer? It would be, well, it is true that with every advantage, there is always a disadvantage. So the disadvantages of adopting an EForms account is that there is one firm account. There's one firm account for your firm. So how about if you have multiple assistants, multiple employees performing activities that would require the use of that EForms account? How would you go about scheduling people's access to this type of tool? You would not be able to save the progress on forms that you're working on. And it is using, and it prefers an outdated web browser, which is Internet Explorer 11. There's potential compatibility issues if you stray from Internet Explorer. So with these disadvantages, these limitations, you're going to see the creation of the Jetfile. In 2011, Jetfile became available to software vendors to create Jetfile-based applications. What does that mean? What exactly does that mean? Well, Jetfile is a product that allows for the submission of forms directly into EAMS. It offers you a number of advantages. Example, number one, filing of popular forms like your application for ADJ, your other structured forms, unstructured forms like petitions and orders, and substitution of attorney documents, change of addresses, things of that, forms of that nature. The unlimited user accessibility, you now have the ability to use a system that is scalable, that would allow your assistant to create a change of address. Maybe the paralegal is going to be submitting a petition or an objection, and they're going to be able to save their progress. But the most importantly is that you can have all of these activities going on at the same time and submit all of these filings at the same time, if you will. So there's no limitation there. It's a huge advantage. The vendor software integration, you now have the ability to have a JetFile system as part of a case management system, as well as a JetFile standalone system to help you for your filings. You also have web browser flexibility. You're going to be able to use Google Chrome. You're going to be able to use Mozilla Firefox. Microsoft's newest version of their Edge browser is available to be used with this system. And now the disadvantages. There are a limited amount of forms that are available to the JetFile system. So 𝘳𝗶𝗵𝗴𝗶 type of cases cannot be filed on, as well as UEF cases cannot be filed on. And then there's no case visibility, which is one of the number one reasons that you would use an EForms account, is to get that case visibility, to see the entirety of the container. A JetFile system is a submission-only product. It doesn't allow you to peek into the container, look inside the windows, and see what is there. It's only what you submit. So here is an example of a JetFile enabled system. The system layout can, in the black area, is the case and ADJ information. We've hidden that from view. So we can look at, see what other columns headers exist and see what data is there. For example, you could see the form you're filing, the type of the transaction ID for proof of filing, the status, who it was created by, and what day it was created on. That kind of visibility is available in JetFile systems. So you can see how many different forms are going through at the same time by the different employee counts. It's completely available to you. So we've talked about, we've briefly discussed the two different methods that you have right now in digital filing. The question is, what are the reasons why you're not, reasons why you're not making this transition? The internal conversations that might be, the questions that are holding you back from making a selection of one or the other or both. And here are some of those. It has been stated before that the conform stamp of your filing that you would normally get on your hand file when you walk it into the board, there's no stamp there. That's a concern for people. But it is agreed upon that the batch ID and the transaction ID of digital filings serves as proof of filing. There is a limitation of numbers of characters that you can use in a description box in these systems. So what that means is that as you're creating your application for ADJ and you see, you start to type in the incident description, there's a specific amount of characters only allowed there. There's no opportunity to write a full page incident report. But these are following the rules that are put in place by the DIR and DWC for these filings. So it would make you be more clear and concise, if you will. We've heard this before. If I start digital filing, I will have to stick with it. This is not true. You are not restricted to any one type of filing if you choose to try one out. Very simply, if you are filing by paper mail and you want to try a digital filing system, you are not bound to that one system. Every form of filing is available to you. So that means that you can digitally file, you can JetFile an application for ADJ, you can use your EForms account to file maybe a DOR, maybe schedule a hearing date. You can still mail documents to the board for filing. So all that's available to you still. I don't trust the internet. Well, the internet is allowing this webinar to take place. The internet revolution has created digital business continuity systems, right? It's allowed for case management systems. It has allowed the ability for JetFiling systems, for records management systems. So placing some trust in the internet is an absolute, and we're already here. And I'm not quite ready for cloud computing. Well, the cloud computing example is, we already have those in real life examples. So the access to our buildings, physical access to our buildings stopped, it paused. You were not able to access your building for 5 days, for 10 days, for who knows how long. And those who took on a cloud computing system were able to, we're able to continue to get work done. You're able to use your case management system in the cloud. You're able to use your digital filing system in the cloud, your records management system in the cloud. You were able to Zoom on the cloud to perform a number of required tasks for your daily use to run your business. So it's already there. We're here. So with these two methods that we've discussed, there should be some questions that you have. What's the best one for me? What's going to work the best? What's going to fit my needs? They're tough questions. And our advice is take advantage of both. Take advantage of the combination of both systems. Stack both of their benefits together. Stack their advantages together. Place them side by side and put them into a best practice to help run your business when it comes to all of your filings. The EForms account is completely free. All you need to do is sign up for a webinar put on by the DIR. It's about 3.5 hours longer, but that will result in an EForms account where you will receive the case event visibility. You'll be able to see everything that's filed on the case. You'll be able to see the activity confirmations. You'll be able to confirm that for yourself that what you filed did get filed. You'll be able to choose a hearing date for DORs. Then, on the other side of the coin here, choose a JetFile system that helps you to be scalable, helps your business to grow, because you're gonna hire, and you don't want to be limited to what the efficiencies that are out there for you because of the system that you're using. So that is where JetFile comes in. JetFile has systems have the unrestricted amount of users that can file at the same time, filing forms. You have the speed and the efficiency of that just because of the way it's built. You have the updated web browser capability, so that way you don't have to live in an Internet Explorer world. You can choose a JetFile system that would operate with your Google Chromebook, with your Mozilla Firefox browser, your Microsoft Edge browser that came factory installed in your Windows 10 laptop. So make that part of the best business practice. And now we're going to go ahead and show you a version of this here. Let me me change my screen. Oh, my apologies here. Wrong button. Oops. Well, we'll get to that here in a minute. So we want to go ahead and provide for you, as you think about working into your using these two systems together, the ability to become an EForms filer is hosted by the DIR DWC. The next one of these appointments is on September 4th from 9 to 12. That was the last communicated. And then the second one would be in October 9th. And that is the required webinar to be able to come away with an EForms account. So add that to your calendar. If what we've shown you in these slides is proven some value to you, it's answered some questions, has got your mind going, that's a good tool to look at using. So I'm going to go ahead and that's the end of the slides, and we're going to go ahead and go to the questions that you asked. Once again, thank you very much for the opportunity to share that information with you guys. And let's see if there's questions here. Not really any. So thank you for joining us today. My name is 𝘁𝗶𝗵𝗶𝗶. Oh, you've got some hands raised. I apologize. Let's see here. Okay. All right, so I see I'm going to put, Steve, I'm going to allow you to talk. Stephen, can you hear me and can you speak? Stephen Martin. Okay, I'm going to try Yvonne Castellan. Let's see. We'll see if go ahead to this chat. Okay, sorry, your mic does not working. Okay, if you want to chat your question, you can. I want to see if I can answer a question or two for you guys about Yvonne. Are you able to ask your question? It seems that, okay. All right. Ashley Valdez, I see a chat. Mic is not working. Okay, well, it seems maybe some mics are not coming through. If you have questions, please chat them. I'll do my best to answer them for you. So the question is in the chat is, EForms is free and JetFile. So JetFile enabled systems can be free as well. So you would be looking to a vendor that has a JetFile enabled system built in, and depending on the vendor itself. We have next question from Ashley. Is JetFiling better than e-filing? I would say they both have their advantages. And that would be, you know, a combination of both actually would be a good way to support your business in both filings. Let's see here. Dawn, it does not cost to become an EForms e-filer. I have never been, I've never heard of a cost in communication with a DIR, nor has anybody else stated to me that there is a cost to do so. Let's see here. I'm reading through these chats. With this system, do we have access to orders generated by the 𝗂𝐶𝗵𝗵? So Ed, Elias, with this system, I'm curious, which do you have order generated by the 𝗂𝐶𝗵𝗵? Is that so? If you would have visibility on those events. There's an orders button inside of that EForms view, and I'm gonna, based off of what type of party you are have access to in that view. We'd have to get a greater clarification to what exactly is in that link. From our perspective, we don't have access to click on those buttons. Oh, I hear a microphone.
Yes, I have a microphone now.
Oh, hi.
You unmute us. Yes, hi. You unmute us.
I did. Did you have a question?
No, I didn't. Thank you.
All
but,
right.
Wait a minute. I think that I have a question. To file, to send any documents from EForms to the court, can we do it through the website? I'm really new on this, so.
Oh, so in EForms, you can submit filings that would include, you would be able to submit those filings, that is petitions, orders, objections, create new applications inside of EForms. There is that ability to create that. Is that answering your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome, and thanks for hearing your voice. I appreciate that. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to review a couple of more. I know we're at 37 minutes, and I want to be respectful to the rest of your lunch hour, and then we'll go ahead and call it. Let's see here. So Karen Garcia has stated, I use JetFile. The only thing I have trouble with is filing of CNRs because their document isn't listed in the drop-down menu. Will this be added in the future? So so for JetFile enabled systems, the CNRs and stipulation for award structured forms are going to be added. Speaking specifically about Gemini's JetFiler, yes, those will be coming in here very shortly by end of August. So those types of forms will be built into our Gemini JetFiler. As far as any other vendors JetFile enabled system, that you would need to confirm with that vendor of your interest. But JetFiling does allow for the use of those forms to be submitted. Let's see here. Paulie Rutkowski. All I want to do is file trial exhibits. It's just me and Melissa using electronic filing. What is the best? So this is a very interesting question, a very interesting topic. As we came into this COVID experience, trial exhibits were being allowed to be submitted following specific rules by the hearing judges. So, for example, a San Francisco judge provided specific directions for filing trial exhibits using a JetFile system. I believe a couple of different headers in the miscellaneous category in the unstructured form area. So the judge made it easy to complete that task. We've heard the same, a different set of business rules that were applied in the LA territory, where a judge said you can file trial exhibits under a different category with a different document header, and was able to complete that. So really what's best, the best one is the one that's going to be the easiest for you, so you should be able to perform that tasked with an EForms account as well as JetFile systems. Really, it's which one is the easiest for you to navigate, which one takes less steps, which one completes the process for you, gives you visibility, and that would be that's my advice is to try a couple. Paulie. Greg Santiago, what specific documents can be filed in a JetFile system? There is a list on the EAMS JetFile website, but they do provide structured forms like the application for adjudication. They do provide the declaration of readiness to proceed and expedited hearing. They are providing the notice of allowance for lien. There's a list that we can provide for you, Greg, and then the unstructured forms list continues to grow. Plus, in this month of August started, there was testing going on for vendors to include new forms into their JetFile systems. That was allowed by the DIR. So that list is growing. So when you look at an EForms allowed document list, the comparison is not that different anymore. You're starting to see very similar forms that you were only allowed to file through EForms are now making their way into JetFile. So we can provide those websites and provide those links for you, Greg, to get you even deeper into the details, because there's a number of forms that are available. Let's see, Luis Vega. Let's see, you got here a little late, but thank you for staying. The use of EAMS and JetFiler within your program, your system merges them. No. For example, Gemini's filer is a JetFiled system only, which means that our system is to submit documentation to an existing EAMS container. You would not be able to use a JetFile system to view contents of the EAMS container. The only application that allows you to do that is you would have to use your EForms account to peek into that container. All right, well, we're coming up here. We got another question here from Ed Elias. With the JetFile, can we download orders issued by the WCJ? So you would not be able to download content that already exists in an EForms container. So once again, you would not be able to view into the container. You're only able to submit to the container. It's a JetFile systems are submission products only. And all right, well, let's see. Let's see, one last question, and then we'll go ahead and end this session. Question from Melissa. Okay, Richard's helping us answer that. Okay, so this is a question from Luis as well. I got here a little late. Let's see, I use EAMS. Let's see here. I use EAMS if there is an issue with the documentation in setup. Does that clear up with you? So I think he's trying to say if there is an error in a submission of a JetFiled system, and how would you go about clarifying or resolving an issue? So if you have a transaction ID, which you do, so you have a transaction ID from a JetFiled system that can be communicated to whichever JetFiled vendor you are using. So that transaction ID can be communicated to the DIR and ask for support, and they can, as well as if you have an EForms account, you can also confirm that filing as well. So you you can see all of the filings that take place in the eForms account. So any discrepancies would be resolved and assisted completely by the DIR. Because once again, the JetFile system is a submission product. We can help to provide the tracking information. If you were to use ours, we could be able to provide tracking and do a little deep discovery work in there. But ultimately, if it's something that has to be resolved by the DIR in the law office, that's what it would end up doing. Okay, all right. Well, I want to just say thank you all for attending. Thank you once again for being here with our first ever webinar. And thank you for allowing me to be part of your lunchtime. So I'm going to go ahead and please keep a lookout for the next webinar coming up in this series, which we'll go ahead and announce here soon, as well as a follow-up survey from today's webinar. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your lunch. Bye-bye.